In this video, I'm going to show you some of the most powerful and effective persuasion techniques that will allow you to influence people without them even realizing it. Hey everybody, and welcome to another Psychology Shark video. In today's video, we're talking about how we can use persuasion tactics to get what we want from other people without them even realizing it. You'll never believe how simple these tricks are and how easy they are to apply in your everyday life. So watch closely because you won't want to miss a thing. As a lazy person with big goals, I like to believe that there's a shortcut to everything in life. It's all a matter of knowing who has done it at an excellent level in the past and decode their approach. Many have tried breaking the code of influence, but none have come as close as Dale Carnegie and Robert Cialdini have, and they're both considered as the pioneers of the science of influence and persuasion. Over the last few years, influence has come up in surveys as one of the core skills that predicts someone's success in their personal and professional lives. If you're looking to get ahead in life and reach your full potential, make sure to watch this video until the very end. Alright, let's jump right in with some tricks that will help you grow your influence and persuade people. Remember that this video was made in good faith and I hope you'll use these tricks for the right reasons. Number 7. Compliments. Have you noticed how you're much more likely to engage in that coffee machine talk if someone pays you a compliment first? Condemning, criticizing, and complaining has become a default for a lot of people, but let's remember that we're not human doings. We're human beings and we have emotions. When you bring an honest compliment to a conversation, you make it much more likely to ignite a conversation that will last. By giving a compliment to someone, you also tap into a deep internal motivator, which is the one of feeling important. By tapping into an internal motivator instead of trying to create an external motivator, you're making the other person want to do it in the first place. You're not convincing them to do something, they think the idea comes from them. Number 6. Ask better questions, offer solutions, and allude to others. How often do you recall asking for something you wanted instead of focusing on the other person's wants? One common mistake that I made in my early consulting career and that I've learned tremendously from was to try to sell to reach my targets, but my entire belief around selling was off. You don't need a pitch to be a seller and to reach your targets. All that you need is to ask better questions, understand the problem the person in front of you is facing, and come up with solutions. If you have solutions for a problem, the person will buy without even having to name a price. Instead of asking for what you want, think of how you could reframe what you want by adopting the other person's point of view and making it about them. Make sure for this one that you keep it simple. Make it clear what's in it for them. Less is better here. Studies have found that people felt far more confident when they had to make 2 arguments versus 6 arguments. If you have to make it about you, explain the reason for your request and use polite expressions such as "excuse me," "please," and "thank you." This last one might be obvious to you, but to some it's not that obvious, and you'd be surprised at how valued polite expressions still are. Next time that you're in a rush at the grocery or at your favorite coffee shop, whatever the reason may be, instead of saying that you're in a hurry like most people in 2021, try a different approach and explain the real reason. Maybe your kids are waiting for you in the car, or you'll be late for an important client meeting. Be honest and polite and you'll see chances of someone saying yes increase tremendously. Number 5. Use reciprocation to create an obligation. Give a gift. Did you already wonder why every single company out there has freebies to offer to you? They come in many forms, from get a free month to get a free call and even here's your free guide. Some people might not know what they're doing, but any good marketing professional will tell you that they know exactly what they're doing. They're building reciprocity. When someone buys you a coffee and then asks a favor, we're much more likely to say yes after drinking that warm cup of coffee that they paid for because we feel like we owe them. It's worth mentioning here that if you buy someone a cup of coffee and then ask them to cut you a check for $10,000, it might not work. We tend to have a feeling of obligation when it's for something of similar value, or at least of the value perceived, and that is valid for any tricks mentioned in this video. Number 4, be an active listener. And by active listener, I mean that you need to become genuinely interested in the other person and engage in the conversation. Action speaks louder than words. Nod when you agree, smile when you feel like it, look the person in their eyes, stand tall, keep your head up. There is so much that goes unnoticed when we're not present and not actively listening, so make sure to mind your body language. When you're really listening, you reap out many benefits. Not only are you perceived as a great listener and someone that they can trust, but you're also gathering information that will make it easier for you to identify their objections and worries they might have. If you wish to dive deeper into nonverbal communication, click the link in the description to learn about some psychological facts that will blow your mind. Number 3, use the power of commitments and consistency to your benefit. It is deeply anchored in every single one of us to do everything that we can to remain consistent with the image that we have of ourselves. The magic of consistency doesn't lay in a single commitment, but rather in its ability to compound. If you've ever bought anything that was a big investment, you know how salesmen use the power of commitments. They usually lock in the deal with a very small commitment, nothing big that will discourage you, and often not even something of monetary value, but something of personal value and related to your self-image. Another form of commitment that's frequently used and that you might have been a victim of is the lowball offer. Remember that time when you applied for a job, went through the entire interview process just to be offered the position but at a much lower salary than you thought? They probably lowballed you. Most people in this situation try to negotiate the salary and companies will review their offer. How will you feel? Happy and like you just won? But in reality, they won from the start. Number 2, have you heard of priming before? You might not even know it, but most of the experiences you've lived were most likely staged. Let me explain priming very quickly. Priming is a marketing tactic used that sends a signal to your subconscious mind, which then influences your decisions. Have you already noticed how in some stores there are barely any lights, there's a fragrance in the air, and the music is pretty loud? None of these choices were left to odds. They were studied, tested, and applied. You don't need to be a big brand to use priming to gain influence and persuade people. All that you need to do is frame the environment. Let's take 2 real-life examples to put this into practice. Let's say that you need to ask your parents for money. How would you want them to feel when you ask them? Open or closed? I bet you'd want them to be open. In that case, you'd need to frame the environment as a safe one. Maybe don't jump right into asking them for money and frame the conversation as a safe environment by opening yourself up. The same applies if you're looking to discuss a raise with your boss. If you know that your boss is a fan of Starbucks and goes there to calm down and relax, why not stack some of the influence tricks you just learned? Invite them for a coffee at your nearest Starbucks and you'll instantly hack the environment. To double your chances, start with a broad conversation and then narrow down to the subject you wanted to discuss. These 2 situations could quickly turn bad if everything is not staged almost perfectly, which is why I suggest that you start practicing this trick on a small scale and slowly make your way to something bigger. Once you start feeling confident, try stacking some of the previous tricks together. Let's get to the last one for today. One of the oldest influence tricks is social proof. The principle of social proof is pretty self-explanatory. When in doubt, we'll look around to confirm what we're supposed to do. This trick explains why the more people think an idea is good or right, the more it makes it good or right. Social proof certainly changed with social media, but it's still here. When you go through the reviews before buying something, when you skim through the comments, or when you look at a post that one of your friends liked, it's all a form of social proof. As you might realize, these tips take quite a bit of time and effort. I understand that you want to achieve greater levels of influence faster and have a bigger impact. That's why I've decided to put together a few resources that have helped me the most and made this process fast and easy. With this, you'll never have to worry about not being able to influence people ever again, because it will teach you exactly the blueprint that you need. So click the link in the description now to get started. Well, that's it everyone. I'll leave you with this final quote from Dale Carnegie. People rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they're doing. So have fun while applying these tricks and get practice every time you get the opportunity to do so. Before you know it, these tricks will become second nature and you'll be able to create new and better opportunities in your life. Best of all, you won't feel bad about these opportunities because with these influence tricks, everyone ends up winning. I'll see you at the top. I hope you enjoyed this video and I thank you for taking the time to watch until the very end. It would mean a lot to me if you could hit that like and subscribe button to help our content rise to the top. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.